Hello my lovely nasties, it's your fearless leader Nasty Jack here to caress your sweet little ears with yet another chapter from my wonderful lovely best-selling world-renowned crapshoot of an audiobook, whoops I mean audioboom. Anyway, I'm not even going to get into the details of what Stan has put me through this past week, but I'll simply say this, frick you Stan, I hope you get poked square in the ding-dat eyeball someday. Okay, now let's get to the show. The Scary House. Chapter 6. Sally's House. Written and narrated by Nasty Jack. I stood there in the rain staring at the picture. How in the heck in the world did this get on my phone, I thought to myself. Who took it? When was it taken? I entered my phone's password and went to my Pictures app. When I opened it, I saw that all of the other pictures were gone except for the single picture of me and Mr. Mike. When I saw that, I was scared but also really sad because I had some nutty good pics on there from when I went to SeaWorld last summer that I didn't back up. Very sad. Very bad. I shed a single tear for all the orcas at SeaWorld whose pictures I will never get to stay up all night looking at again. Anyway, I was super confused about the picture, but honestly it was a pretty good pic, so for the time being I just left it as my phone's wallpaper. My ears perked up as I heard the sound of sirens in the distance. It was probably the police or firemen coming to investigate the explosion. Not wanting to be a suspect, I tucked my phone back into my pants pocket, picked up Mr. Mike's diary and turned around to walk home. I needed to sort some things out. My mind was going wilder than a bunch of 6-year-olds hyped up on sugar at Chuck E. Cheese on free pizza Fridays on my rainy drainy walk home. What did I just experience? I played back what had just happened over and over in my mind. I couldn't get the sight of Miss Betty's transformation into the beast out of my mind, and Mr. Mike's evil chanting, and the blood, and the chicken tendies, and the flossing, and the swanky lanky danky BMX bike tricks I was doing. Was it all a vision? If it was a vision, how could Mr. Mike see me? And how did I get the picture on my phone? But then again, if it was real and I was really transported back in time, how was I able to do all of those 6666666 healthy tricks? And how did I get there? It was one big of a goofy mystery for sure. As I reached the corner of the street, the rain let up. The sun was just starting to rise. I must have been out all night. I let out a sigh and turned Mr. Mike's journal over in my hands, still just completely floored by how sweet the bedazzling that decorated the exterior was. I wondered if it had any answers to what I had experienced. I looked up and saw someone walking toward me from down the street. I stuffed Mr. Mike's diary under my shirt. It was Sally. Boy oh howdy golly wally was I sure glad to see my best friend Sally. "Hi Nasty Jack," she said, "I like your socks." I tried to speak, but I couldn't form any words in that moment. I must have still been in shock. "Are you okay?" she asked. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I mean not really, but you could pretty much say that," I muttered. "Also hold up. Why the heck in the world are you walking around town at the sting-dang-ding-galing hour?" Sally gave a sweet smile that comforted me and made me feel like a little tiny baby boy again, because that was the only time my mama had ever smiled at me. She had some spaghetti sauce in her teeth. Wow, she must really love that good Italian meal. "I love getting up before the rest of the town and seeing the sun rise," she said. "It's really one of the best ways to start off my day." "Okay, that's kind of stupid in my opinion, but you do," I responded. She laughed like this lol and said, "But seriously, are you alright?" I paused and said, "I'm not sure. Something crazy just happened to me, Sally, and I think I could use some help processing through it." "Did you poop your pants again?" she asked. I laughed nervously like this lol and thought back to the various multiple occasions over the past 2 days where I may have had an accident. "No, I've never done that in all of my life living on God's gooey green earth," I said. "Where do you get off?" Okay, she responded. "No need to get defensive. If you want to talk about something, we could head back to my house. I can make us some dank cookies." My heart jumped at the thought of eating one of those heavenly circular treats. "I'm down," I responded. "As long as they are mincemeat cookies." Those are my faves. Sorry, she replied, I only have ingredients for some basic snickerdoodles. Okay, that sucks, but yeah, I guess that works too, I said. We turned and walked down the sidewalk toward Sally's house. I hoped that talking with her would answer some of the questions I had. Our footsteps piddle-paddled on the wet concrete as we strolled away. Ad break. Howdy y'all, listeners. I love you. As per usual, we have some sponsors for this chapter of the audio boom so that we can keep the single light bulb above my typewriter on and our computer from 1997 powered. Legit, we still only have dial-up internet, so it takes a solid 4 days to upload each episode for your listening pleasure. Anyway, this episode is brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. Their chicken is so yummy I dream about it every night when I'm sitting on the toilet taking a massive hacking dump. The sauce. The Texas toast. The fries. The chicken. The ethos. It's just so good, it's definitely my #1 love, as their slogan goes. Just a forewarning though, don't you dare try to order the chicken sandwich because you'll bring their daily production to a grinding halt, because they'll have to send an emergency call to their headquarters and hire some rondo person who actually knows how to make one of those nasty boys. This episode is also brought to you by Oxygen. No, it's not the name of some cool hip startup company that allows you to drink PBR at all hours of the day while you play solitaire on your computer instead of actually getting work done. No, I literally mean the oxygen you breathe in through your God-given nostrils. Have you ever needed to breathe? Like having healthy lungs? Enjoy being alive? Well, Oxygen allows you to do all of these things and mucho more. For 12 easy payments of $299.99 you can have all the oxygen you will need to survive. It's literally the exact same oxygen you can walk outside of your ding-dang house to breathe in for yourself, but who wants to waste all their energy walking outside when you can have it shipped straight to your door? Ask your mama to buy you some. You won't regret it. Okay nasties, thanks for listening to those dank ads. Now back to the show. Sally and I arrived at her house at around 8:36 in the morning. The crisp October air felt like a big cold fart blowing over my entire body. It was nice. Sally's house was a block away from mine. It was yellow and had some sweet-looking gables. There were roses at the foot of her deck. A pleasant sight after such a broody trash past 2 days. Her house seemed to be the only haven for all things good in our town. We walked through the front door and into the living room. Make yourself at home, Nasty Jack, she said. "'Kay," I said, and flopped onto the brown couch that was straight out of the 80s. She called from the kitchen in the adjacent room, "Just give me a minute and we can talk." "'Kay," I responded again. I looked around at the inside of her house. Sally had a couple plants in her windowsill that looked out onto her front lawn. There were a few knickknacks and magazines about dogs on her coffee table. Across the room was also a shelf full of mystery books, investigation literature, and oddly enough a couple books about how to hold in a big dirty poop for as long as humanly possible. So that's how she got so good at that. Color me intrigued. Sally walked back into the room. "Alright, the cookies are baking and should be done in no time," she said. "Your house sucks," I said. "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way," she said solemnly. "Oh, just kidding, Sally," I responded, feeling kind of bad. I was just nervous and wanted to break the ice in a fun new kind of way that I read about online the other day. "Yeah, that was super fun," she said jokingly. She sat in the armchair that was also in the living room. "Anyway," she started, "tell me about this crazy thing that happened. You really had me worried earlier." I sighed, and pulled out Mr. Mike's diary from underneath my shirt. I plopped it onto the coffee table. "We might as well start with this," I said. "Oh wow," she said. "I legit thought that was some kind of nasty thick tumor when I first saw you earlier today. I wasn't going to say anything about it because I didn't want to be a rude dude, but this makes more sense." "Well, that would have been a funny thing," I said. Then I began to tell her everything that had happened. It took about 43 minutes and 40 seconds to get through all the nitty-gritty details. I told her about the scary house, about Pickle Rick and the key, about the sunflower seed shells, and about Mr. Mike and his diary. She gasped every single time I brought up something new. It was mad wild. Like for else. But I failed to leave out one detail. That the beast was her mom. I sat there for a few moments looking very nervous. I pooped a tiny little poop bean in my pants because I was so nervous. I'm pretty sure Sally picked up on it because I was making a wild face and I also probably smelled super bad. "Is there anything else you wanted to tell me, Nasty Jack?" she asked. "Yeah, I intentionally left something out because you're probably going to hate me for the rest of my short-lived life if I tell you," I responded. "Nasty Jack, you can tell me anything," she said. "Okay then, I'll just come right out and say it. There was this crazy wild beast in Mr. Mike's house. I thought the beast was a cute, lovable, adorable puppy that I loved until it transformed right before my eyes and tried to kill me. The only thing I could do was make a blasty boy from sugar and instant gravy to destroy it. I also ended up blowing up the entire house too. Oh yeah, and also the beast was your mama, Miss Betty. I'm sorry, Sally." Sally sat there for what seemed like 5 hours not saying a word. "You okay?" I asked. She blinked her eyes a lot and said, "Whoops, I think I just fell asleep for a while there, but for real I'm in shock. I can't believe you killed my mama, Nasty Jack." I said I was sorry, I responded. "I guess I can forgive you," she said. "I might have done the same." She paused for another moment. "I've actually been keeping a secret from you, Nasty Jack," she said. "I know we're best friends and I'm sorry I haven't told you before, but the night my mama went missing I dedicated my life to trying to find her." "Oh sister, that is pretty lit," I responded. "Okay, shut up, I'm not done," she said. "Anyway, I've been studying the art of investigation and am now an official pro. Get on my level. For the past 20 years I've been searching for my mama, trying to figure out what happened to her. It's been so long I kind of started losing hope. I did start finding more and more clues surrounding Mr. Mike, but I couldn't ever find any hard evidence." She stopped talking for a brief second and looked around the room. "Thanks for telling me the truth, Nasty Jack," she said. "Yeah, well, I'm just one big thick truthful kind of boy," I responded. "Anyway, do you think there's anything we can do at this point? I'm at a major loss, my dude, and can't seem to figure out where to go, what to do, how to eat, or even how to breathe." "Okay, I can't help you with a few of those things," Sally responded. "But in my years of studying I did happen to take a community college class about deciphering runes. When you were showing me Mr. Mike's diary I noticed that there were runes etched into the outside cover as well as in the bottom red corner of each page he wrote in." "Oh wow, I thought those were just doodles," I responded, feeling like a silly Billy. "Nope," she responded. "Maybe if we take a closer look at them we can find some clues." Sally grabbed a notebook and pen, got up from the armchair and sat next to me on the couch. I got butterflies in my little belly and immediately let out a honker of a fart. She looked at me and also let out a nut-busting fart. Wow, she was such an amazing girl, I thought. "Let's start with the outside cover," Sally said. "It looks like there are 10 runes here." She started jotting the runes down in the notebook and the translation for each one beneath it. Once she finished she sat back on the couch. "Is there something wrong?" I asked. "It doesn't make any sense," she responded. "These runes aren't in ding-dang English, or at least it doesn't seem like they are." "Okay, that's low-key creepy," I said. "But what does it say?" Sally began working through each of the runes, slowly at first, but then she gained more confidence. As she spoke each rune the ground began to shake. I let out about 10 dirt snakes into my pants. I was so scared. It felt good but also gross, you know. The shaking increased with each rune. Then she spoke the last one, and everything went black. The two of us awoke with a jolt. The shaking had stopped. I DK about Sally, but I was as disoriented as a chubby kid on a tilt-a-whirl. The room was dark. I looked around and everything looked familiar, but we weren't in Sally's house. Sort of nervous and excited, I let out a little toot as I pushed myself up off of the ground. I pulled back one of my hands after pressing against something kind of sharp. I looked at the floor. There was a pile of sunflower seed shells. Taking a closer look at the room around me, I came to a sobering realization. We were back in Mr. Mike's house. This audiobook is copyrighted by Nasty Jack Cool Storytime Incorporated.